Yeah, yeah. But it's the feds. Okay.
Are we doing closed session in here?
I don't know, Rhonda. Rhonda, would we be able to do closed session out here? The question is being asked. No, the closed session. No. Okay, is there a phone over there? So maybe we'll dial the supervisors in back there and then go up to the fishbowl. We got to talk with them first.
Okay. Wow. I'm a board of one. Woo! That's funny. In our system of government, no matter where you're at, even if you're president of the United States, with the systems of checks and balances that we have, you're still like a board member. Doesn't matter where you're at. There's nobody that's autonomous, which is nice. I think that's what keeps our country where it's at. Hey, good to have you back, sir.
And
Blessings on you. Yeah.
one at a time.
Yeah.
But like,
Wow. Crazy year for all of us. Ah, big wake-up calls everywhere, you know. Like, what's really important in life here?
and then when you do that add.
Oh, man.
Or you can dial in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll know when to do it.
Yeah. I mean, freshly elected, too. It's not, hasn't.
Hey.
Yeah.
Seems like an important plan to have in place.
I always think about secession planning. When I think about it, my mind's eye goes to the Idrang Valley, and with Hal Moore, who was a commander of the first tactical contact with the Viet Cong, and they're in the Idrang Valley, and they were outnumbered like 10 or 100 to 1. It was 100 to 1. And they ended up helicoptering into that zone, and 400 plus guys fought over 4,000, enemy. Actually, it was almost 8,000 enemy. And his
Yeah.
instructions to his guys
But
were
she's gonna
very
stay for
simply
that.
this. You learn the duties of the guy ahead of you.
There has a.
And if he's gone, you're in charge. He's gone, you're in
Right.
charge.
That's so that they could be.
That's what he, that was succession planning.
Yeah.
Kind of a scary circumstance.
So mics are hot. Mics are hot.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
But he said mics are hot.
Okay, Brett, we have you. Hi, Tom, we have you now. Tom, can you hear me? I have you showing up that you finally made it.
Who?
Okay, Tom, we're just waiting for Max right now.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Yep, am I unmuted? Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. We're just waiting for Supervisor Rodriguez.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Brett, we can hear you. Thank you.
Sorry that you can hear me.
I have a moment.
Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, well, you muted.
Just in a way of instruction, before we get started, I'll kind of do a roll call for comments, and or just initially I may just say anyone have any comments. That way we're not doing a roll call every time. And if I get a couple, I'll just do a roll call. And then also try to speak clearly and concisely, maybe a little slower than you normally would, so that your deaf chairman can put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll get through this just fine. Tell me when we're ready, Rhonda.
I just texting Letty to see if maybe we could go ahead and start because we have a quorum and then dial in.
Okay, that's fine.
Hold on 1 second. Let me.
I think we'll do a roll call too to just show that we have a quorum.
Okay.
Letty?
Okay. We might have to approve it with we can insert it, the language, like the specific rate, and they can approve it with that. So if he has the rate. Okay.
I can hear you, David, but I can't hear nobody else.
Yeah, we're not doing anything yet.
Oh, okay.
We're trying to get one more thing going up here.
Gotcha.
I think for Max, make sure Max is on.
Good catch, Supervisor Wheeler.
I see BF.
Can Manuel call Zax and find out what it is, or we just cross it out? We just either cross this out and they approve it with that edit, or we add it at the rate and they approve with that edit and then we fix it afterwards.
So I won't be using the Q at all. So
Yeah. Madeira is hospital security is 25.
Can you see me now?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Those that are on WebEx will be able to see each other. Those of us on the dais will not be able to see you. Their monitors don't have the WebEx on it. They have audio only.
I can't see any of you guys. I feel so lonely.
I see you. I see Brett. Yeah, that's better.
Anybody besides me
That's better.
having
All right.
mental issues with all this not shaking, hugging people? I'm having.
When you going to shave?
Yeah. I need a haircut for sure.
Oh, here, open that one for me. I couldn't get that thing open at all. I couldn't even open it with that rubber pad.
Which email that you sent? Been on hold? She's trying to dial in. They're trying to dial.
Do we have everybody or not?
No, I'll let Letty know to join us in.
May have to have him call in.
Yeah. Hey, we'll go ahead and we'll have him call in.
Counselor, your closed session. Oh, okay. Conference call. All right, this meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors is now in session. And we'll begin with, I'm going to have a roll call first of those attending the meeting from the board.
For attendance, Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Let me unmute some of these others. Hold on. All right, Supervisor Poitras. Just lost Supervisor. There we go. Supervisor Poitras. Supervisor Frazier.
Lost them all.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Any of you guys hear me? I heard somebody respond. What's going on?
Okay, Supervisor Frazier.
Here.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Here.
And Supervisor Rodriguez is trying to attend, but he will be joining you in closed session.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So we do have a quorum, and are there any additions to the agenda?
There are no additions. However, I wanted to alert you that there is a typo on the consent calendar on 5-0. The backup is correct at 95,000, but in the recommended action, it shows 60,000.
Okay. Okay, we'll take care of that in any motion that comes before us and forward. So with no additional items for closed session, we'll ask the County Council to read the closed session into the agenda.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. There are 7 items for your closed session today. The first is under Government Code Section 54957.6. That's a conference with your labor negotiator. Your agency designated representative is Director Alba Gomez, and the employee organization is all units. You have 2 anticipated litigation matters under Government Code Section 54956.9. You have conference with your legal counsel. One is related to significant exposure to litigation. There's one case related to the State Water Resources Control Board, and the other is deciding whether to initiate under litigation. You have one case. There's existing litigation under the same Government Code section, subsection D1. The name of the case is California Sport Fishing Protection Alliance versus the County of Madera Groundwater Sustainability Agency. There are 2 items under Public Employee Appointment and Employment under Government Code Section 54957. The title of those positions are County Administrative Officer and your Veteran Services Officer. And the last item is under Government Code Section 64957, Threat to Public Services or Facilities, Consideration of a Tactical Plan, and you have a consultation with Sheriff Jay Varney. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the public on these items? How are we doing that?
So we put out information asking anyone with public comments to either mail us, email us, fax us, or send through e-comment, which is available on the website with our agenda. And at this time, we have no public comment for
Okay.
closed session.
Okay, so no comment from the public. With that, we'll retire to closed session.
Now, do we call in on that?
Right. So for closed session, you'll need to call into that teleconference line.
That one I had a while ago then.
Right. That 1-888 number.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bobby was going to find out. He probably did. But he hadn't been able to get a hold of me. On item H, the compensation for Zach's by the hour working in Fresno, Merced, and Madera. they don't have nothing for Merced, and yet Merced is in the contract. So I was just wondering what that might be.
We'll get that question answered right now. Button.
Good morning, members of the board. Chris Rodriguez, Madera DOC. The Merced location for Zach Security will be equivalent to Fresno. In recent, we haven't had any cases where pest rescues delivered anyone to Merced, but in the case if they do, the same dollar amount will be equivalent to the Fresno Community Resource Center.
Okay, then I figured that, but we need to put that in the contract.
Yes, Chairman, Regina Garza, your county council, and members of the board, on paragraph 3 of that agreement under compensation, if part of the motion, if it's to approve this contract, we can include in that motion services in Fresno and Merced, and then in that paragraph it'll include Merced at the rate of $30 per hour.
Okay.
And what
That'd
item
be
was
perfect. It's item H,
that? H.
and it's paragraph, it's page 2, item number 3, compensation.
So we
Yeah.
can add the location Merced and
So it'll say
motion.
Fresno and Merced, and
Okay,
then
Fresno
the
Right.
agreement will be.
and Merced. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Should do it. Everything else looks pretty dang good, so.
And we do have an item O with a dollar amount change that shows
Right.
60,000, should be 95,000. Okay,
Okay, I move to approve the consent calendar with item H corrected and item O corrected.
as discussed.
You have a second?
Motion made and second from Supervisor Frazier. Supervisor Wheeler made the motion. Let's vote. Oh, any public comment on the consent calendar? Do we have any public comment on this? None. Okay, no public comment on the consent calendar. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler,
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez, Supervisor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Was there someone trying to make a comment? Okay, no comments, so no worries. We're going to go to our 10:30 a.m. public hearing.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Would it be possible to do our proclamation for our public health director so they could get back?
Okay, we could do that. Yeah, let's do it. Go ahead and read that.
Proclamation for National Public Health Week, April 6 through 12, 2020. Whereas since 1995, the American Public Health Association, through its sponsorship of National Public Health Week, has educated the public policymakers and public health professionals about the issues important to improving the public's health. And whereas the Madera County Department of Public Health has a vision and mission to lead, protect, empower, and is founding member of Live Well Madera County. And whereas public health action reduces and in some cases eliminates the spread of infectious disease through effective disease surveillance and control systems. And whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, and withstand and recover from the impact of a full range of health threats, including disease outbreaks, natural disasters, and disasters caused by human activity. And whereas public health professionals and community partners empower community members to strive for better health through healthy eating, physical activity, mental health practices, positive parenting, effective use of healthcare and community resources for prevention and treatment, and civic engagement. And whereas community wellness is valued in Madera County actions through health and all policies. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Madera, State of California, does hereby proclaim the week of April 6 through 12, 2020 as National Public Health Week 2020 in Madera County, and calls upon the people of the County of Madera to observe this week by helping our families, friends, neighbors, co-workers, and leaders to better understand the value of public health and support opportunities to adopt preventative lifestyle habits.
During this first full week of April each year, the American Public Health Association brings together communities across the United States to observe National Public Health Week as a time to recognize the contributions of public health and highlight issues that are important to improving our nation's health. Public health workers have been promoting this campaign for over 25 years to educate the public, policymakers, and practitioners about public health issues. This year, we are facing an unprecedented challenge felt all over the world. It's more important than ever to acknowledge and celebrate public health efforts to improve our community's health with COVID-19 dominating our lives. Public health is at the forefront of our community's response to this epidemic. Following their vision to reduce communicable disease, the Madera County Department of Public Health is working to slow the spread of COVID-19. Public health staff have mobilized efforts to educate and be responsive to the community to protect their health. They have been leading the effort to actively investigate potential cases and contacts and facilitating testing for individuals who have been exposed to the virus. The Sheriff's Department and entire Emergency Operations Center has been instrumental in supporting the Department of Public Health in efforts to make sure isolated individuals are receiving the resources they need. This collaboration spans the entire infrastructure of Madera County and has reaffirmed that we are all in this together. Thank you to everyone who is working tirelessly to keep our community safe. Today, the board is proclaiming the week of April 6th through 12th, 2020 as National Public Health Week 2020. Follow the Department of Public Health's website. The address is maderacounty.com/COVID-19 and social media platforms to stay well informed. Take heed in their guidance and stay home, stay well, and stay connected. And I read that every day. I've posted that on my website, on my public information platforms, and use their information every day to give people hope and courage. And I just want to say, when we come out of this, you're going to remember, as a public health worker and all of you that are putting your effort into making sure that things are done well to keep the public safe, you're going to look back on this and say, I remember when I saved lives in 2020. Thank you for your work. God bless you. Doctor?
Thank you. Yeah, Chairman of the Board and members of the Board, I'd like to thank all of you for the proclamation recognizing this week and the importance of public health in the community here. And obviously at this time with the COVID crisis, the importance of public health is very clear, but I think the proclamation also makes clear the importance in many other areas that the Department of Public Health has improved the health of the community. I also think it shows foresight on the part of the Board, the fact that the Department of Public Health is functioning well. And, you know, when people think of preparedness, they think just of preparing supplies and things like that. But the fact that we have a well-functioning department shows foresight on the County of Madera in preparing for events like this as well. The other thing that's critical is we do not function in isolation, right? We work with all of our members in the community. Over the last few months, the cooperation we've had, whether, as you mentioned, from the Sheriff's Department, but from other organizations like Madera Community Hospital, Camarena Health, the jails, really been incredible. Everybody has worked well together, even if they may have competing interests other ways, really try and solve the problems that are in front of us right now with COVID. So I'd just like to say I really appreciate the proclamation recognizing the importance of public health. Next month, we're going to be doing everything we can, both to protect the community from the COVID infection and helping out people who are suffering from the infection and getting us all in the best shape as we can.
And we'd like to also welcome Dr. Paul back. He's been back with us for a little over a week now.
Yeah, it feels like I was gone for a while, but it's very good to be back.
So good that you're healthy and back with us, and so grateful for that. Our prayers are with you. And I've got this proclamation. How do we want to do? Do we want to do a picture? We can. I'm not worried. That's perfect. I like that. And this is on behalf of the board, so that. Dr. Paul, we're going to show our social distancing abilities here. We are about 6 feet apart. Post this on our website. Very good. Thank you for your good work. All right. So we're on to our public hearing, 10:30 hearing.
Yeah, public hearing. Board of Directors, Special District Maintenance, District Number 22A, Oakhurst Public Works Department, Administration Services Division. Make sure I'm unmuted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt Treber, Chief of Development Services. With me is Andrea Saldati, Public Works Deputy Director. This is the second hearing on this item. There is been no public comment received on this. It is changing the assessment for MD 22A. It was part of a lot line adjustment that was done for the property owner.
Pretty standard thing. Okay, any questions for from the board for Mr. Treber? No questions from the board. Any from the public on this item? We have no public
I
comment.
received no public comment.
Okay. What's your pleasure, board?
Move to approve.
Move to approve from Tom. Is there a second?
This is Rob. I'll second it.
Supervisor Poitras, second. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler,
Yes?
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier,
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay. Public session.
7B, County Administration Department. Presentation on the status of the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget and the county's short and long-term financial outlook.
Hey, our very capable financial officer, Joel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Joel Begay, County Administrative Office. We're here today to give you an update on the current year budget, as well as provide you, to the best of our abilities, a short and long-term outlook on the financial situation of the county, especially the impacts of COVID-19 as we know today.
Hold on one second.
Did I lose you?
No, he's trying to get his
PowerPoint?
up. Yeah, PowerPoint up.
All right.
Jay? I'm sorry, it's
Are we
not
ready or no? It's not loading? Okay.
it's not showing it.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
We're good to go? All right. So in the current year, county expenditures are 57% of the annual budget as of the end of February, which is the latest audited financial statement information available today. It is within the benchmark of 58.3%, which represents a 1 month behind benchmark model, which is historically what we've used, given that expenditures are usually tracking closer to 1 month behind. This is within that benchmark. However, it is slightly higher than previous fiscal year's expenditures of 54.1% as of February 28th, 2019. On the other side,
2.9%.
2.9% higher than the previous fiscal years. General fund revenues, on the other side, are 50.5% of the budgeted amount as of the end of February. This is consistent with the pattern, but again, also slightly more behind than previous fiscal year's collection of 52% at the same point this fiscal year. At this point, we have analyzed the current year budget, and we are projecting a structural deficit by the end of the fiscal year, totaling $1,245,297. The primary factors that contribute to the structural deficit are as follows: higher than anticipated longevity expenditures, higher than anticipated cost of step increases, as well as lower than anticipated interest income earned from various funds of the general fund. In addition to that, we are also projecting COVID-19 related revenue decreases based on projections to date, totaling $3.9 million. This comprises of $386,288 worth of sales tax decreases that we're projecting for the county. That represents a 3.5% decrease based on projections provided to us by HDL. Statewide decrease is 1.6%. However, we are factoring in the larger share of county sales tax, which comes from fuel and travel-related expenses. We are also reporting that we will realize a 1.1 million decrease in the TOT as of June 30th. This is based on collections to date, and based for the month of March, the county collected $6,000 in TOT. We expect April, May, and June to be close to zero or very minimal. And the single largest projected decrease is, at this point, is the potential loss of excess teeter revenue fund transfers to the general fund. We will know more about whether this is potential or full or a fraction thereof after the April 10th tax filing deadline. 2.4 million has been the sustainable transfer from the teeter fund, which really comes from delinquencies collected as part of the county being part of the teeter plan, with some anticipated delinquencies. We expect some impact. It would be hard to tell until we pass April 10th.
So we're looking at nearly $4 million lost revenue
That is correct, in addition to the structural deficit in the current year.
in addition to.
And Mr. Chairman, we wanted to present those two going into March. We were already anticipating and trying to get a handle on what our structural deficit would be. Obviously, we wanted to present what's a structural deficit and what's COVID-19 related impacts as that situation kind of developed pretty quick the past month.
This stimulus money, those trillions, do we get any of that by any chance to cover some of these COVID?
Yes, Supervisor. So I think the best answer to that at this point is indirectly. So a lot of those funds are flowing into communities, mostly in the private sector, in the form of unemployment assistance, small business assistance, direct payments to those families that make $99,000 or less than $99,000 a year. So I think the hope is that the collective stimulus from the federal government and anything the state comes up with subsequent to that, as far as, let's say, property taxes, will allow people to, pay their bills on time, pay their taxes on time, so that we can keep the vital services going. But
Right.
There are some funds provided in the stimulus that goes directly to the COVID-19 response, and those have been appropriated, and some will actually be ratified in the subsequent board meeting. Those funds are being coordinated by the EOC. It would be premature to say we have a handle on all of those fundings, but I think the EOC is working hard into prioritizing and making sure that they apply for all those funding that's available for the response. But as far as direct stimulus, direct payments going to government entities, unfortunately, there is none to report at this time.
Right.
So,
Go ahead with your presentation.
okay. So,
Mr. Chairman, this is Rob. I just
Yeah, go ahead.
had a question for Joel in regards to the fiscal year 19 and 20 structural deficit carryover not addressed of 1.2 million. What created that structural deficit? I understand the 1.9 and the 726, but what's the 1.2?
right. So I think you're on the next slide already. So let me cover that and then go back to the question, so that way I can put all of these amounts in context. So
Okay.
it's in the if we do not address any of the deficits, what we wanted to present is what we are faced with next fiscal year 2020-21. Obviously, if we don't address the structural deficit, that will carry over in next year's budget. That's the 1.2. But in addition to that, if revenues stay flat and we don't have any new revenues to cover any other increases, what would add to that is the 1.9 in CalPERS unfunded liability, which is already set and is a fixed cost, and 726,000, which would be realizing the full year impact of the COLAs. to go back to Supervisor Poitras' question on that 1.2, really, where we attribute that is we approved 3% COLAs the past 2 fiscal years. And while we budgeted for those COLAs in the current fiscal year, I think the trend that we've seen is that the intent of the COLAs is to keep a competent workforce, and part of the keeping a competent workforce are people staying working for us longer. We do have a step increase and a longevity structure that allows to add compensation on top of that. What that 1.2 is entirely is the actual number of people staying and entering longevity of 10, 15, and 20 years were higher than what we had anticipated. The other side of that too is that we've seen a trend to more people staying, and that it also follows that more people are staying in the higher steps of the salary range, meaning salary steps D and E. So we've had historical budget numbers of distribution between these additional pay. This year, what we actually realized were much higher, and that's what constitutes this 1.3. So it's indirectly related to the COLA, but it's not the COLA itself. We did budget for the COLA. What we failed to budget was the increase in people. Basically, we're not churning the workforce as fast as we used to, so more people are entering longevity, and that trend is going higher.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for that answer, because going into this year, we budgeted a balanced budget, I know. And but with these longevity increases, this is what is really what caused this situation.
Right. Not the full 1.2 is related to longevity and steps. So it was balanced insofar as the assumptions we made on longevity and steps were accurate. We now know it's not. But 400,000 of that is a revenue decrease. So with the historically low and this year being the benchmark for rock bottom interest rates for those types of investments that the treasurer can make, our interest income has decreased by $380,000. So a good chunk of that 1.2 is also a revenue decrease. So I wanted to clarify
So carrying
that.
that out through the rest of the fiscal year, you're looking at $500,000, nearly $500,000 lost in revenue due to interest loss.
Like 380, and the others is miscellaneous different revenues that are related to that as well, like penalties and that kind of stuff.
We learned a structural lesson on the steps there, didn't we?
Right, and I think I didn't. Yeah, so I think that's the best we can answer that.
Yeah.
It was a balanced budget based on assumptions, and the assumptions that we didn't realize were the number of people staying in longevity and
Defied historical
which
figures.
is in isolation is a good thing. You want a highly trained workforce,
Sure.
but it does cost. I think longevity 10 is 5%, and then 2.5 after that.
So I appreciate the answer. So whenever we do look at our budget in June, I know we're looking at it now, but whenever we have our budget discussions, if you could maybe specify what you just described right now as far as that structural deficit, that'd be great.
Supervisor,
I mean, as far as the 1.2 million, say, okay, 400,000 was this. Another part of it was, the lack of turnover, et cetera. So that'd be great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead and finish your presentation.
All right. So the flip side to this is what we're proposing as cost control measures moving forward. So the priority for us is to take a measured approach. We have to do something, but we also don't want to overreact. The goal of the following proposed cost control measures is to preserve the workforce as much as possible and avoid being in a position to have to lay off. I think cost controlling through attrition and selectively filling vacancies would be a good way to go. So we'll go over 5 steps that we're proposing. First is the salary savings sweep. So in the past fiscal years, on a case-by-case basis, we've allowed departments to redirect savings that they incur through salary savings to make one-time purchases. We're proposing to stop that practice unless, with very few exceptions, unless it presents a health and safety issue, obviously COVID-19 response related. We're not gonna we're not gonna prevent that from happening, but also if it requires work accommodations or workers' compensation issues and that kind of stuff. We also want to propose, and we'll go over these in more detail in the next slides, but the second one is to implement hiring controls for funded and vacant positions. We're proposing that the CEO bring to your board in June a continuation budget for fiscal year 2020-21, which we'll touch base more in the later slides. Delay the fourth round of fire apparatus purchases to April 2021 instead of placing the order this year. And then as a contingency, work with each department to have a 5% discretionary spending reduction plan, just in case your board has to implement that between now and mid-year of fiscal year 2020-21. So salary savings sweep, as I explained, is to end the practice of allowing departments to transfer salary savings for one-time purchases unless it's really an emergency situation, or unless it puts the county in a liability situation, such as work accommodations. Hiring controls, we're recommending hiring controls as opposed to a strict hiring freeze, because inevitably a strict hiring freeze ends up with exceptions anyway. So what we're proposing is to add a process for departments to request filling of vacant positions that are funded in the budget that the CEO would approve. What this would allow is to have a review of each position, if it impacts discretionary revenue. Basically what we're looking for is a decision point to work with departments to see, could we delay hiring of that vacant position to make sure if we needed to increase salary savings for the year. It's a way to throttle the recruitment process, but not necessarily delete positions. It's ensuring that we realize salary savings that we're counting on to control discretionary spending. Continuation budget for fiscal year 2020-21. What we mean by this is, instead of having the conversation for departmental requests, which some of them, we've seen some requests with positions here and positions there, I think it's unrealistic to have those discussions at this point. What we're proposing to take to your board in June would be to take the service level that we have right now in terms of discretionary spending, develop a budget that does not increase that, allow departments the choice to present an alternative. If they need to modify their positions for operational reasons, that's fine, as long as we set a discretionary spending target that reflects the continuation budget of the discretionary revenues for fiscal year 2020-21. In addition to that, we can also commit to have a more robust mid-year process in February to discuss any kind of proposals. At that point, the advantage of this is that we will know our fiscal position much better. By February 2021, we would know to a certain extent if COVID-19 has had any impacts on the assessed values of properties. We would know what our actual sales tax are and whether or not it's recovering to the pre-COVID-19 levels. Delay the fourth round of fire apparatus purchases for April 2021. We are completing the third round of purchases, and in fact, I believe we would be taking, the fire department would be taking delivery of 2 fire engines from the third round of orders, which was placed April of 2019. In discussions with the fire department, they don't see any long-term negative impact in delaying the fourth round of purchases. And what that would allow us to do is give us a little break in terms of the debt service that we have to incur for the following fiscal year, because we would not have to finance it if we just delay it. But it still keeps to it would still keep and be consistent with the fire equipment replacement plan your board approved 3 years ago. And then lastly, the 5%, develop a 5% discretionary spending reduction contingency plan. What this would do is the CEO would work with each department to develop plans on how they would reduce their use of discretionary dollars by 5% in the event that these revenue projections are actually realized or is much worse than what we're initially really projecting. the idea is that your board would then have, a quicker reaction in case we do have to take deeper measures after the end of this fiscal year. And with that, we're
Yeah,
available for questions.
I'd like to see us take on the structural deficit, at least the first part of it, the 1.2 million, through attempting now to go to departments with discretionary spending reductions through travel restriction, consider video conferencing where possible, paper reduction. I know that we went through a comprehensive paper reduction operation some time ago, copying, et cetera, not being done, and saved a considerable amount of money, which put us in the limelight nationwide on, that was 2015, I believe, that we were actually awarded by NACO for a huge deficit reduction in, or reduction in the use of paper and copying and those aspects. And I think there are other areas where people, managers can get creative and think through this and save some money. We're talking about collectively, we need to close that gap now and before June. And if we can close that gap, that shortens the full gap of what we're going to have to deal with, the 4 million in June. And that's a lot of jobs. $4 million, a lot of jobs.
And we were going to clarify, we are recommending these measures to be implemented immediately.
Good.
Because the COVID-19 revenue impacts will be realized this year. It's revenue that we had counted on that's not going to, that potentially will not materialize. So it is a serious,
Yes.
we need to take serious steps. I think going down those lists before having a conversation on potential, getting into potential layoff situation would be the goal, because we want to preserve the workforce as much as possible. I think travel reduction in of itself, we've seen it drastically drop. I think we'll use this opportunity almost like a zero budgeting basis.
Yes.
Everything
Okay.
dropped. We're functioning right now. We're going to have to justify, all of us, ourselves, what to add back and what's necessary. So I think we're going to go through that process. We'll definitely work with departments on, paper reduction. A lot of departments have gone to electronic, and we'll see how far, how much more of those savings we can take, and we'll look at all those strategies. But we're also, on top of that, also recommending your board to direct us to implement these things immediately. As far as siren controls, we'll have to figure out a automated process that's not onerous for departments to request that. And to avoid any kind of emails back and forth, we'd likely leverage CRM or some similar current avenue for those requests to flow through our office.
Good.
But the idea is for us to work with departments to be selective in what we fill, the timing of how we fill it, to make sure we reach our salary savings targets.
Right. Any questions from the board?
No, thank you, Joel.
Yeah, I appreciate Joel doing this. We discussed about a month ago with Darren and Joel the need to do a budget.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Yes, go ahead, Max.
Joel, you have to be careful when you're dealing with the workforce. Don't make the mistakes that we made last time. Any dealings with the workforce, you have to include the unions so they know what we're doing, what we plan to do, and why we're doing it. It's very important that all parties be involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Max. And we are in lockstep with human resources in addressing, these issues.
Yeah. Very good.
They are 47% of our resources that
Okay,
we
very
spend,
good.
so
Very
it's a pretty
good.
important resource.
Yeah, and then can is that PowerPoint available? Can you make me a copy of it?
Supervisor Wheeler, the PowerPoint was emailed to you this morning. I'll email you another copy if you like.
No, if this email this morning, I haven't seen my emails this morning.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I
Any
can
more
do that.
questions?
We
Well, right now we have a budget reserve by law, and we've got it in place for a reason, and we're going to be fine. But we need to deal with these structural deficits so we don't deplete that budget reserve, and it just puts us in a more prudent posture. We're going to have to be prudent.
I think the goal is to maintain that reserve and not deplete it with the structural deficit. The COVID-19 revenue decreases, though, we still kind of need to go beyond a little bit on the structural deficit, just because a $4 million blip would wipe out 3/4 of the reserve.
Yes.
And we don't want to be in that position if in fact this triggers a longer recession,
Right.
as some people are predicting.
Well, let's hope it doesn't affect property
hoping
values
not.
too.
But we're planning for, we're being conservative and
Yeah.
anticipating that.
Well, it never hurts to be conservative. It always hurts to be liberal and thinking, and then get the worst case scenario. So,
Mr. Chairman, this is Rob, and I'd just like to tell Joel that I did see I didn't get a chance to look at the handout before the meeting, but I did see that you did have what I was asking for as far as the structural deficit and what made that up, and it was very specific. So that's exactly what I was asking for. You already did it, so thank you.
Right. Thank you, Supervisor.
thank you, Rob. Okay, so this was informational. We had no public comment on this? Okay, so we will move on to the next item. Thank you, Joel. Yes, go ahead, Sheriff. Come ahead. Sheriff has a comment on it.
If there's no other department heads here, are you going to make that available, public document to the
I think we
department heads
should.
that-
I think
so
we
that
should
can
make it,
prepare?
yes, I think that'd be a great idea. Make sure that gets out to all the department heads. Thank you.
I believe it's also on our website, currently on our website, but I'll make sure we get it out to our department heads as well.
Right. This is why we plan, because without a plan, we would fail. Next item. 7C.
7C, County Administration Department, update on current funding available for COVID-19 response activities and plans for allocating county budget resources for the Emergency Operations Center.
Joel again.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joel Bouquet, County Administrative Office. Item 7C is we're providing your board an update that we're planning to utilize contingency funds in order to cash flow 3 budget orgs for the Emergency Operations Center. We expect the county match to be funded by either state or other resources. However, in the event, because they need the resources now and to allow us time to figure out FEMA reimbursements and state grant reimbursement, we were planning to use 100 of the remaining 500 contingency funds to seed the orgs, so that way they can make, hotels operational, whatever other resources they need, and then we'll true it up, and as the funding, the reimbursement situation becomes clearer. We do expect that between state funds and federal FEMA reimbursements, that we'll be able to cover most, if not all of it.
Okay, any questions on that item? None? We have no public comment?
No public comments, sir.
Okay. So we'll go to item 7D.
7D, Economic Development Commission, Madera County. Discussion and consideration of approval of the Madera County Economic Development Commission fiscal year 2020-2021 basic service level budget.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Bobby Kahn, Madera County Economic Development Commission. Good morning. This is our annual basic service level agreement that we bring before you each and every year. According to our JPA, it is to be approved prior to March 31st, but your March 24th meeting was canceled, so it got pushed back to today. You should have a copy of it, and it shows that the county's percentage went up slightly, We do an evaluation now every year of the population. We take the May 1st Department of Finance numbers. Those are the most accurate. And then allocate the expenses. Just going through real quickly, from operating expenses down, all those expense items are the same as last year. We have no increases. The only thing that has caused an increase to the budget this year, which is minimal, is mostly health benefits keep going up, something that we don't have any control over. I believe that the county's portion of the budget went up about $5,000 this year. As you are all probably aware that this funding comes out of your CalWorks money, so it does not impact your general fund. And we've already been working closely with the Department of Social Services, so they're well aware of this number and are budgeting accordingly. I'm happy to take any questions that you might.
Any questions from the board? None? Any public comment?
No public comment, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I'll hear what is the pleasure of the board?
This is Rob. I'll make a motion for approval.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Supervisor Frazier, let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes. Motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Need you more than ever. Keep plugging. Any pending legislation? I don't see anyone here, so no pending legislation. Any from?
I just got a couple things I wanted to say on legislation.
Go ahead.
Is Jay Varney still there by any chance?
Jay? He's stepped out for something. He's dealing with something.
Oh, okay. Well, I just asked, and I actually had two different ones, but this one, he's one raised up here, Matt Sands. He travels all over and he's got an RV, and he'd like to, with this, now he can't travel, he can't park his trailer in his folks' yard, and live in it, because we have those, rules they can't do that. And Fresno and Clovis both this week, it's really funny, passed ordinances that they could do it temporarily while this is going on, so they can, be by themselves. And so he was wondering if we could get us to do that too. And I don't know if the sheriff runs that or Matt would run that under code enforcement, but I would like to see if we could do that. Okay. I think it's important to, so that people can be by themselves and don't be spreading this shit around.
Okay.
Hey, Supervisor Wheeler, I had to step out for just a second. Are you talking about RVs or travel trailers?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I think the marching orders on something like that right now would tend more towards common sense, which would be if people are congregating or creating a negative social distance thing by moving those things in, we would take action. At this point, we understand that there's a lot of outside of the box things that have to happen right now. If we receive a complaint, we'll send somebody out to verify it. But at this point, I don't think we're going to engage in active code enforcement on people who are doing that as a result of COVID-19. So I'll get with Matt and I'll also talk with the EOC so that we can implement a strategy that hopefully prevents you from having to implement a short-term resolution or ordinance change or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think we need that. We can look at Fresno and Clovis. They both just done it. So, and he wants to come home, and he's at the America something here. He sent me an email, and he wants to come home to his parents' place and just park it there and live in it. He don't want to be in his parents' yard because he's been traveling, so he wants to stay.
Okay, maybe you and I can talk about this offline just to verify that he's good to go, and we'll take care of it.
Okay, and then the other thing was, have you done anything else to change our hemp ordinance, or are we going to leave it like it is, or what's going on?
It's scheduled for the 14th.
Oh, it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get a preview of it before so I can look at it?
As soon as it's completed by the Ag Commissioner, their report and everything, and I think County Council has the final version of the ordinance they can send to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for a great job, buddy.
Thank you. Okay, any more pending legislation? nothing more, we'll move on to supervisors and staff reports. Any supervisors have anything to report? I don't hear anything. Okay, so we have one person stepping up to the mic. Tracy Kennedy. Tracy?
Hi, good morning. Your staff report, Tracy Kennedy, Madera County Treasurer Tax Collector. I just thought I would update you a little bit on property taxes as one of the few departments that's still open and serving the public.
Just paid mine this morning.
Excuse me?
Just paid mine this morning.
Well,
Through
thank
the little
you.
slot in the wall.
Yeah, slot in the wall.
Yeah.
Thank you to Becky Martinez. Her drop boxes are coming in very handy. We're using them in the lobby. We're using them across the driveway. And they're helping kind of direct traffic, which we appreciate, in the information booth. Yesterday, we did get the big payment from the mortgage companies. And so if your property taxes were being paid in your house payment, they were all posted. So you can check that online as well. And so, like I said, we're open at a limited basis, and we're encouraging Dropboxing and putting it in a blue envelope and stick it in a Dropbox. If you have to pay cash, we are escorting you one by one up into the department. And every day we are averaging about 40 to 50 single payers that reach that category. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that we're still there. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We're trying our best. And it has been challenging, but I have to really give my people kudos. They have rallied. They have stayed the course, and we're doing, I think, a really fine job for the county.
I do too. Thank you.
Tracy?
Give it, yeah,
Tracy, this is Brett Frazier.
Hi, Brett.
Do you want to update people on how to pay with a check over the phone?
Yes, e-checks are free. So
Aren't they free?
E-checks are free, yeah,
Oh,
and easy.
so how can they do that over the phone?
They can dial our number, the 1-800 number. I don't have it right here in front of me. And follow the prompts and put in their parcel number. And it will ask them some questions about their checking account number. They can put in their checking account number and their routing number and submit. And hopefully it'll be posted. The beauty of e-checks and doing it online, if you can too, is that you can get a receipt right then and there. So it's posted in real time, and you can track it, and you can make sure that it was posted. So
that sounds easy, safe, and free.
Easy, safe, and free. That's right. Save a tree, save a stamp.
Hey, Tracy, this is Tom.
Hi, Tom.
How are you? Hey, thank you for putting that explanation, that definition list out. And Sarah's, I don't know if she's there now, but I want to thank her too for the COVID definitions. They finally got that out and I posted it. And I just wanted to thank you because already when I posted that, all kinds of people spoke on, a couple of them negative, but you know, they're out there anyway, so we can't help them. So, but thank you so much, because that really, you know, I just kept telling people, hey, call you. Well, if you could, once you send that to me now, I can say, just check it out. It's right there online.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, we are encouraging people that can pay their property taxes to definitely pay their property taxes. Don't forget this is local, and those revenues go to our local services, school districts, special districts, cities, the many bond issues that are out there. And that's what we collect the money here at a local level. So, so that's what we're encouraging. And then we'll see how it all goes. And after the 10th, if we need to do some other extra review of people that weren't able, there will be documentation, there will be justification, and we'll go forward from there.
Yeah, people should pay their taxes if they can, and because they're going to have to justify why they don't. You're not going to just get a free ride if you decide, I think they're going to probably forgive penalties and blah, 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 and you still got a job and you still have income coming in and all of this, you're going to be penalized. You're going to pay the penalty. And so let's be honest and let's do our part. And this is what takes care of business here, what takes
Right.
care of the public safety and all of those things that you enjoy as taxpayers. So it's important that we keep business going.
Right, and we're relying on that right now, and that's
Yes, we
why
are.
we're still open and doing our best to take the payments and processing the payments.
Right.
I have the phone number, the 800 phone number, if you want me to broadcast that.
Yeah, should.
It's
Go ahead.
1-877-399-1067.
That's
1067?
1-877-399-1067. And that's through Heartland Payment Services.
Very good.
Great.
And e-checks are
E-checks are free.
Free.
Save a stamp, save a tree.
Save
E-checks are free.
very good. Very good. Thank you,
Right.
Tracy.
Anyway,
Give us an
thank you.
update after the 10th. Let us know how things are going and appreciate it.
Yes, I
Yeah,
definitely
it'd be
will.
interesting to see how it was compared to last year. It was so funny. One guy put on there, folks, forget about it. You think you're going to get so you can't pay your property taxes. You got to pay them one way or another, whether it's now or later. So you better just pay them. And I thought that was pretty good. So
Yeah, that's a good statement.
I thanked the guy. So
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right. If there's no other items to come before this board, we're going to adjourn this meeting.
amen. Have a good one, you guys. Be safe.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.